Hey, in today's lesson, you will learn 40 very simple swaps or changes that you can make to your everyday conversation to go from very basic and simple English phrases to more advanced and natural English in your conversations. Let's go. Before we jump in, please do subscribe to the channel. It really helps it to grow and helps me to help more English learners all around the world. Be sure to like the video and share it with other English learners. Leave a comment to let me know what you have learned in today's lesson. All right, so first up, let's talk about some swaps or some alternatives to the very, very common phrase, I think. I think. Now, I think there's nothing wrong with it. Of course, you can say I think. However, we do share our thoughts and opinions quite a lot. So it is nice to have some alternative phrases so we're not repeating ourselves again and again and again, okay? So first up, instead of I think, you could say in my opinion. In my opinion. Now, in my opinion is slightly more formal than I think, but it's not super formal. So you can still use it in social or casual conversations as well as professional or business conversations, okay? In my opinion. So for example, in my opinion, we should look at some other solutions before deciding. In my opinion, we should look at some other solutions before deciding. Okay, so I think we should look at some other solutions. Another great swap that's also a little bit formal is from my point of view. From my point of view. From my point of view, he is the best candidate for this position. From my point of view, he is the best candidate for this position. So again, a simple alternative to I think. Now the next swap is a little bit informal and it can be used in casual or social conversations. You can simply say for me or for me personally and then share what you think. So for example, for me or for me personally, he's not the best fit for this position. For me personally, he's not the best fit. This is just another way of saying, in my opinion, or I think he isn't the best fit. Our next swap for I think is as far as I can tell, as far as I can tell, okay? As far as I can tell, this project is not important to her. As far as I can tell, this project isn't important to her. Now, as far as I can tell, we use this one when we kind of have some information or some evidence and we're forming our opinion based on that. So from what I can see, from what I can tell, this is what the situation looks like. That's basically what this phrase means, okay? This is what it looks like to me. This is what I think based on the evidence in this situation. Our next swap has a very similar meaning. As far as I'm concerned, as far as I am concerned, as far as I'm concerned, this project is not a priority for her. As far as I'm concerned, this project is not a priority for her. You're basically saying from what I can see, from what I can tell. As far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, with the information I have, this is what I think. And another one for offering your opinion maybe in a discussion would be if you ask me, okay? If you ask me, I think they make a great couple. If you ask me, I think they make a great couple. I think they're very good together. In my opinion, I think, okay? Now you can use this phrase even if someone doesn't ask you. You can say, if you ask me, basically, this is what I would say if you were to ask me, but it's just a figure of speech. It's an expression. If you ask me, this is what I think. All right, let's move on to another very basic, very simple, very common phrase. I don't know. I don't know. Now, again, we use this one all the time, almost on a daily basis. I don't know. Let's look at some simple swaps. Instead of I don't know, you could say, I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure. And this suggests that maybe you know a little bit, but you don't fully know the answer, okay? So I'm not entirely sure. Now this one kind of puts a positive spin on the phrase, I don't know. You can say, that's a good question. That's a good question. You can actually use that's a good question before saying I don't know, okay? So if somebody asks you a question and you don't know the answer, you can say that's a good question or that's a great question. I'm not entirely sure, but, and then maybe you can say what you think or you can offer to find out. Okay. This next one is very informal. It's to be used in social or casual conversation. It is who knows? Who knows? Okay. Let's say somebody asks you, what do you think that he's going to do next? What do you think he's going to do next in the situation? And you say, who knows? Who knows? I have no idea. He's super unpredictable. Who knows? Another great swap is I can't say. I can't say. I can't say simply means I don't know or I'm not sure. And when you really, really don't know, you can say I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea, or I have no clue. And if you are trying to take your vocabulary to the next level, be sure to check out the Weekly English Words membership. This is an online self-study membership created by myself and teacher Tiffany. You will learn natural phrases, idioms, phrasal verbs, expressions that you can use to speak more confidently and more naturally in English. I will link the Weekly English Words membership down below so you can learn more about it. All right, our next common and basic phrase is I like. I like. Again, nothing wrong with I like, but some alternatives are I'm really into. I'm really into. So for example, I like silver jewelry. You can see that I wear always all silver jewelry. Instead of saying, I like silver jewelry, I can say, I'm really into silver jewelry. I'm really into silver jewelry. Now, this one is quite informal, quite conversational, very suitable for social situations. Another alternative is it's right up my alley. It's right up my alley. This is something that I like, or it can be something that I'm good at as well, okay? For example, let's say that I am reading a mystery novel and I know that you like mystery novels. I can say, you should read this book. It's right up your alley. It's something you will like, okay? Another example, let's say that I have just watched a documentary that I know you will enjoy. I can say, this documentary is right up your alley. Or let's say you are telling me about a documentary or a book or a movie that you think I will like. I might say, that sounds like it's right up my alley. It sounds like something I would enjoy. Sounds like something I would like. Now, I mentioned that this phrase can also be for something that you're good at. So for instance, let's say that I see a job posting for a video editor and you are a video editor and you're looking for a job or you're looking for work. I could say, I just saw this job posting. It looks like it's right up your alley. It looks like it's something you would be good at. Okay, so this is a nice one. It's not the easiest because it has more than one use, more than one meaning, but it can mean something you like, or it can mean something you're good at. Okay, another very simple one. I'm a fan, or I'm not a fan if I don't like it, right? I'm a fan of. So for example, I'm a huge fan of Chinese food. I love Chinese food. I like Chinese food, okay? Really simple to use. Simply just replace the word like with I'm a fan of and then a noun. I'm a fan of this, or a gerund. I'm a fan of doing something. So after this phrase, I'm a fan of, you can use a noun. I'm a fan of live music, or I'm a fan of going, gerund. I'm a fan of going to concerts, okay? Now, another phrase that's very informal and very common and popular nowadays that you might have heard is I'm obsessed with. I'm obsessed with. So for example, I'm obsessed with that show. I love or really like that show. I'm obsessed with it. This one is quite informal. I do not recommend using this in formal situations or at work. This is very social, very casual, very conversational. All right, next, let's talk about some swaps for the basic and simple phrase, I'm tired. I am tired. I'm sure that we are all tired at one time or another. So some nice alternatives are, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. Now here we are simply swapping the adjective tired for another one, exhausted, which means extremely tired. Okay, I'm extremely tired. So let's say you've had a long day at work or you've been traveling for a very long time. You can say, I'm exhausted. I need to get some rest. Another adjective you can use instead of tired is I'm drained. I'm drained. It's been such a long day. I am drained. Now, you can use this when you're talking about being physically or emotionally or mentally tired. Let's say that you've been having an argument or a very heated discussion for hours and you're tired because of this argument. You can say, okay, I'm drained. I think we need to stop talking about this now, okay? I'm tired because of this argument. Another one is I'm worn out. I am worn out. This is a phrasal verb, okay? I'm worn out. Just means you are really tired, usually because you've been working hard. Something has made you tired. Not because you didn't sleep well, but more because you've been working very hard and over time you've become tired. So for example, I'm worn out because of this job, or this job is wearing me out. This job is making me tired, not because of one long day, but over time. And another phrase you could use when you're tired is, I could really use a break. I could really use a break. Okay, so this implies or suggests that you're tired. You can say it in combination with I'm tired. I'm tired. I could really use a break. So let's say your husband or wife asks, what do you want to do this weekend? And you say, honestly, I am tired. I'm exhausted. I could really use a break. Now, a couple simple swaps for it's easy. It's easy. If something is easy, you could also say it's straightforward. It's straightforward. This is a very nice adjective to know and to use. You can use this one in social and professional situations. So for example, let's say that you are the supervisor, manager, or boss at work, and you are giving a task to your team or your employees. You can say, this is quite straightforward. It shouldn't take you long. Okay, it's another way of saying it's easy. Another option is it's not too complicated. It's not too complicated. So you give them the task and you say, this is not too complicated. It shouldn't take you long. It's easy. And you could also say it's simple. This is a very simple task. It shouldn't take you long. All right, now some swaps for when you are busy. Of course, you can say, I'm busy, but if you're always busy, you need some alternatives. So our first swap is, I'm swamped. I'm swamped. This means I have so many things to do. I am swamped, okay? So for example, I'm swamped at work. I'm sorry, I can't meet you this week. I'm swamped at work. I have so many things. I'm super busy. Another one is, I've got a lot on my plate right now. I've got a lot on my plate right now. So for example, let's say you're having some challenges at home, some challenges at work, and maybe some challenges with your husband or your wife. You have a lot on your plate. So this one is actually a little bit more than being busy. It means like you have a lot going on in general in different areas. You are managing a lot of things or balancing a lot of things or handling a lot of things. I have a lot on my plate. This is a really nice, very natural idiom to use. I do use this one in speech all the time, so I would recommend giving it a try. Next, my schedule is packed. My schedule is packed. I have a lot of things in my schedule. So for instance, let's say you're trying to schedule a meeting and this week your schedule is full, almost full. You can say, my schedule is pretty packed this week. We'll have to do it next week. Does Monday work for you, for instance? And another way to say you're busy is I'm tied up. I'm tied up at the moment. I am tied up. Now some simple swaps for those of you who are always late. Some alternatives to sorry, I'm late. You could also say, my apologies for keeping you waiting. My apologies for keeping you waiting. Now this one is a little bit formal. You wouldn't necessarily use it with friends, but you would use this more in the setting of a meeting or a slightly more formal situation. My apologies for keeping you waiting. You can also use this on the phone if you work in customer service and you have asked your customer or client to be on hold and you come back to them. You can say, my apologies for keeping you waiting. Another nice and positive one is thank you for your patience. Thank you for your patience. Now you could also pair this one with sorry I'm late. So sorry I'm late. Thank you for your patience. Let's say that you had to stay late at work for some reason and you're meeting a friend. You can say, I got held up. I got held up. Thanks for waiting. I got held up. Thanks for waiting. I got held up at work. I got stuck at work, basically. Thank you for waiting. So some nice alternatives to sorry I'm late. You can use sorry I'm late, but if you're always late, maybe you can switch it up and use one of these swaps instead. All right, our next common phrase is a question. Can you help me? Can you help me? So some alternatives for asking for help. You can also say, would you mind giving me a hand? Would you mind giving me a hand? You can use this socially and professionally, formally and informally. If you're asking a colleague or a family member or a friend for help with anything, you can say, would you mind giving me a hand with this? Another polite way to ask for help is, could I trouble you for some help? Could I trouble you for some help with this? Let's say you're trying to lift something heavy and you cannot, and you want to ask someone around to help you. You can say, sorry, can I trouble you for some help lifting this? This one is a little bit more formal. Would it be possible to get your assistance? Would it be possible to get your assistance? Okay, a little bit more formal. I wouldn't use this one with friends in a social situation, but definitely appropriate with colleagues at work. And another one very suitable for work is, I could really use your input on this. I could really use your input on this. Okay, our next simple phrase is, I disagree. I disagree. So some swaps for I disagree. I see it a bit differently. I see it a bit differently. This is great for when you're sharing opinions in a conversation and you disagree. I disagree is absolutely fine, but sometimes you might want to soften it a little bit and then share your opinion. You might want to be a bit more diplomatic. In those situations, you could say, I see it a bit differently. Another respectful and diplomatic option is, that's an interesting point, but here's how I see it. That's an interesting point, but here is how I see it. Then go ahead and share your opinion. You can also say, I'm not quite on the same page here. I'm not quite on the same page here, okay? I don't exactly agree with you. I'm not quite on the same page here. Or, I have a different take on that. I have a different take. A different take in this statement means a different opinion, okay? A different perspective. I have a different take on that. And finally, some swaps for I am happy. I'm happy. I'm happy about this, or I'm happy in general. Instead of I'm happy, you can say I'm thrilled. I am thrilled. So thrilled is just a stronger adjective to say I'm super happy. I'm thrilled about this new job. I'm thrilled for you. A very simple alternative to I'm happy is I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. And another strong way to say you're very happy is I am absolutely delighted. I am absolutely delighted about the results of this project. I'm absolutely delighted. Now, all of the phrases and expressions you've learned in today's lesson will be listed down below in the description box. Now, I encourage you to make your own notes, to copy and paste them into your own notes, to add to them, to write examples for them, to narrow down the ones that you think you really want to use. You don't have to learn all 40 of these right away, of course. You can just learn one or two alternatives for each of the common phrases we talked about. Start with that and slowly expand your vocabulary. So there you have it, 40 very simple swaps that you can make in your everyday English conversation to speak more naturally and more confidently. Thank you for watching, learning, and spending time with me today. I will see you very soon in another lesson.